Welcome back to Blue and Blur, everybody. My name is Mark.
And I'm RJ, and today we're going to talk about the Walking Dead, the Toronto Maple Leafs, right after this.
Yeah, Trouble in Paradise.
Well, I don't know if it's ever been paradise. It's 60 years of no finals and no cups, but these are dark days. These are dark days, my friend. I'm going to say this right off the bat. I hear the radio stations and the podcasts and the newspaper columnists all the playoff window's about to close, and I just don't think that does it enough. It's not the playoff window closing. It's the end of an era. This is the fall of the empire, if you can call the Leafs an empire. But it was a pretty good regular season 10-year run of domination. They hold the record for the most playoff appearances currently. Every other team's had a fall from grace. But it's over. It's not fixable quickly, in my opinion. We're going to get to that.
What did I text you after the Kraken game when they lost 5-2?
It's probably over.
I told you, the Leafs are in big trouble.
Well, they're in big trouble. Big trouble. And then you get the Rileys and the Tavareses and the Matthews overusing the word desperate. Well, desperation, desperate. We're desperate. Well, we got to play desperate. It's time for desperate measures. Desperate. Well, it's desperate, all right.
They're saying it, but they're not acting like it, right?
Well, they don't. This is the problem. They don't like. They don't mind losing. They don't like losing enough. They hate teams that hate losing. The Floridas and the Tampas and whatnot. The Leafs, they're fine with losing. But, if the Instagram followers are still there, and Justin Bieber's still taking the phone calls, what do I care? 3 out of 14. That's what they got. They were 1 out of 12 going into Vancouver, the lowest team in the league, the worst team in the league, bar none. And it took them to a shootout.
Took them to a shootout. The worst team in the league.
By the way, though, was a tremendously exciting overtime. That was one of the more thrilling overtimes. Had a penalty shot, the whole 9 yards.
But it should have never got to that.
Well,
you're playing Vancouver for.
Well, they haven't won in Vancouver since 2019. That was the first time they won in Vancouver this decade. So the Leafs have a problem in general. They must know a hot spot in Vancouver that they either want to get the game over to get to, or they go there the night before. I don't know, but they never do well in Vancouver, and really basically didn't do well there either, because they should be they should be beating them. But anyway, look, I don't want to talk about the Vancouver game. It's over. They're right now 8 points back and Buffalo has a game on hand, so it's kind of like being 9 points out. It's pretty much close to a cross-off. We're not going to declare them. That's why I said they were the Walking Dead. They're not dead, but they are close to it.
Yeah, they're 7th away from the wild card right now.
Yeah, they've got a lot of teams. They've got teams in between them. It's going to be. They're going to have to go on another 18 out of 20 point run, bar none. They have to. They're going to have to go on a run where they win 7 or 8 of the next 10 games. Yeah. Maybe and. I don't think they have it in them. Because the other thing, the Leafs have they had an easier schedule in the first half. Now the hard schedule comes. They're playing harder teams, and they're playing on the road. 2/3 of their games going to the rest of the way are on the road.
I think they're just they're just praying for the Olympic break right now. They just that thing can't come quick enough.
That can't come quick enough. So where do we go from here?
What do we do short term?
Well,
what's the fix
there's been a lot of talk this week. And I harped on the media in an earlier video, and I'm going to harp again because I'm listening to these guys, and they're talking about, well, maybe we get Rob Thomas from St. Louis, maybe we get Panarin. Well, how are you going to get these guys?
Yeah, with what?
With what? You don't have your 2 first rounds. One guy was like, well, we'll sell off down and get into the bottom 5, and then we'll have our pick back, and then we'll trade the pick and something else to St. Louis for Rob Thomas next year. Like these kind of talks. These are the kind of talks because and they're using just because Boston pulled it off, which is a one-off. Not many teams go down on the bottom and immediately shoot back up into the competitiveness. And because Boston did it, but Boston's got a good goalie, maybe a great goalie if he's on his game, and they've got McAvoy's one of the top defensemen, and Lindholm's in the top 15. He's a really steady guy. So they have a back end covered. They just had to do a few pieces. And Boston's back in the middle. They're in the middle. I mean, they're not going to win the cup this year, but they're in the fight again. But can Toronto do that? No, Toronto can't do that. We've got a questionable I wouldn't. I mean, Wall and Hildeby have played well, but the goaltending's the goaltending. It's not superb. And then we've got a defense that is closer to being in age-old homes than they are playing for all-star teams or Norris Trophy contention. We've got a really old and mobile defense. They have trouble getting the puck out of their own end. And
the prospect pool, like,
well, there's not much of a prospect pool, but actually the Leafs are. If you look down on, they've got this guy Hopkins down in junior that's outperforming. He was like a fourth rounder. I think he was a fourth round pick, and he's scoring a lot of goals. But I talked about that last week though. Don't buy in. The media always says we got the goods. The Leafs have these picks that are working out, and then you never hear from them again. I don't know. They've got some goal. They've got some stuff, but not stuff other teams want.
No. I haven't heard anything yet about this year's draft and if there's any phenoms in there. Have you heard any?
Well,
about that?
There's five. Well, they're saying it's not a very deep draft. Another reason to get down to the bottom five.
Yeah.
They're saying it's only 5 or 6 deep, and then after that it falls off.
Yeah.
And there is not a Celebrini or a Bedard.
No, but they don't even have a first-round pick, right?
I mean, Grant McKenna, but he's fallen off a little bit.
They'd have to trade for a first-round pick, see if they want to try and rebuild, right? Because they don't have a first-round pick.
Well, I don't know if the Leafs got anybody that they can get it for. I mean, they're not going to. We'll talk about whether they're going to blow up or rebuild or retool or whatever in a second. But for going into the deadline, my opinion would be that they should start selling off. But Lawton and Carlo are a problem for Tree Living because he ain't going to get. He's going to get. I don't know if he's going to get 50 cents on the dollar. He traded prospect and a first round to get those guys. I don't know if he like Carlo. I think he might probably be hard pressed. He might only get a third round. Lawton, I could see getting a second round for the right team that needs that kind of plugger center. But is Tree Living one right away, and then you got the balance sheet. We have first round and Fraser Minton for Carlo, and you only get a third round. Yeah, so I don't know how he's going to trade those guys without looking really bad.
Okay, so it's Bleak.
Larson's 34 years old. I don't know if you can get a first for him. Bobby McMahon's an interesting guy to trade because he's only at $1.4 million. And teams have to use their cap in the playoffs this year. Yeah. So that's really powerful. If you've got because the big teams are already capped out almost, they could probably find a way to squeeze a $1.5 million player on their team. So McMahon's going to hold a lot of interest.
Yeah.
So I would be looking for the Leafs to trade McMahon, maybe Larson. I don't know if Tree Living's got the balls to show how stupid he was by dumping Lawton and Carlo for 40 cents on the dollar. They could go. I don't think anyone's going to take Riley for the rest of the year. And if they did, don't forget. Everyone's going, well, we're going to get rid of Riley in the offseason. Nobody's taking that $7.5 million contract. You're not going to get much back for him, and you're probably going to have to take half the money back. That's a mess. I don't see Tree Living digging his way out of the Riley contract.
Right. So it's bleak to make any major changes between now and
there's a whole
now in the playoffs.
There's another thing. The media, I heard on the media the other day, I heard one of the guys, I'm not going to name him, he goes, well, they did a sell-off before, and look how it worked. They got Matthews and Marner. Well, I saw that, I think.
So I did the homework. I saw the same thing.
I did the homework. I went on in the trade tracker, and I checked John Ferguson, Brian Burke, and Dave Nonis. And the Leafs never were sellers. First of all, they got to the point by 2013 where they didn't have a lot. The cover was bare, and they didn't have a lot to sell. So nobody wanted their dregs, their throwaways. So the Leafs have never been sellers. They're not sellers. It's not in their DNA. I heard Chris Pronger the other day, and we're going to get into what the Leafs should do postseason. He said a great quote. He was asked by O-Dog, what do you do? He says, take it down to the studs. And,
yep, I saw that one, yep.
Pretty good advice, and I'm not going to take credit for the line, but a really good friend of mine, I mentioned that to him, and he said, and that's where you're going to find the mold. And that is what's wrong with the Leafs. There's a DNA problem in this franchise, and they don't do things right. They will never admit defeat. I think Tree Living will not be allowed to just strip this team bare. For some reason, the ownership, and it's like 6 different ownerships since the Smythes gave it up in the 60s. We've had about 5 or 6 regimes. And they just don't they like going down with the ship. They're not going to, they're fearful of this market. For some reason, when the evidence is overwhelmingly 100% the opposite, we will put up with the shit.
Yeah.
And come back and buy $40 plates of fish and chips and $21 beers and $700 tickets. I don't know, and glue our eyeballs to Sportsnet. and buy whatever shit they're selling in their 1 minute breaks. I don't understand why they're so afraid of it. But I'm going to predict that the Leafs will not do every man overboard. They will try to some cosmetics, trade. Maybe Bobby McMahon.
Yeah, I think they're trying to do. I think what people are screaming at right now is to do what Boston did.
Yeah,
last year.
Brad Marchand, Charlie Coyle. I mean, it was shocking. Boston stripped the team bare last year, and it really has worked. And not only are they looking good now, they also obtained other future picks.
And they did it in a year.
And they didn't. Well, I explained though. It's kind of unique when you got guys like McAvoy and Lindholm to fix the errors of whatever forwards you bring in. Leafs don't have that. Leafs will have if they strip this team down bare and have even worse forwards. This defense will be overwhelmed.
So you think the plan should still be to rebuild or build around Matthews? Because people are saying that I would still build around Matthews.
Well, no. This is the question. This is the big question. What you have to do now, it's a really smart team, and that's why I don't think Trey Living's the man for the job. I'm sure people in Calgary are just loving this because he didn't do it. I don't know why he got the job in the first place. I will repeat that. I don't know what he did in Calgary that made us think he was the great guy. I mean, his dad does really well on Shark Tank or whatever it's called here, Dragon's Den. But I don't see him being a shark. Anyway, they have to figure out what to do going forward. What is this team going to look like next year and 2 years and 3 years? They don't have draft picks for 2 years, assuming they don't get down to the bottom five. So what do? They have to figure out what to do with Matthews. Matthews will be they own him for another 2 years. And what, are they going to let him just run that contract out? And by that time, the Leafs are down in the bottom, and he goes, well, I don't want to be around anymore. And he walks out the door like Marner did. I think they got to have a conversation with Matthews.
I think they have to have a conversation with both Matthews and or Nylander.
Well, Willie too. Yeah, bring him in too, because maybe and quite frankly, do these guys want to stay here? Because I think it's going to be ugly. I do not see a fix for this team. The goaltending is questionable because Wall and Stolarz have a long history of injuries, and we don't know if I don't think Hildeby's anything more than what you described, Montembeault. I think he's going to be a great number two and have a long career as a number two. Wall and Stolarz get hurt all the time. Stolarz has not recovered, clearly. I don't know why they put him in that Vegas game either. Because that set the whole thing off. They lost that game in Vegas, and the team's never been. And why they put it? They're going to send him to the Marlies, but no, for some reason, then they start him in what was arguably one of the biggest regular season games of the year. Also was an opportunity to stop the bleeding, but instead they put Stolarz in, and it was like a gunshot to the head. Just that's a bad coaching move by Berube.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about him for a second. They don't make the playoffs.
Before we get into Berube, I want to
go back to the Matthews.
Yeah. We want to go back to the Matthews things real quick before we get into Berube. Personally, what I would do is I would have a conversation with either Nylander or Matthews, and I'd say one of you has to go. So which one of you wants to waive which one of you wants to leave? We'll waive your no trade clause, and then sell him off, and then you could get for their salaries you could get 3 good decent players.
Well, Matthews,
and then start your retool there.
Matthews would probably get.
Who do you think out of the two? I want your opinion as a.
Well, I would trade Matthews.
Who do you think would say yes to leaving first? Would be Nylander or Matthews?
I think Matthews would say yes, but I don't know. I don't know how you do that.
I think it depends where he goes.
There's another thing though. Be careful what you wish for. If you look through the history of the NHL over the last, let's just go for the modern times of the last 60 years, when teams decide to unload their best player, the return is often not a good return. Conn Smythe had going back 75 years ago, the original owner of the Leafs, he said, whoever gets the best player in a trade is the winner of the trade. So if you trade 3 players for one, the one's really good. That team wins the trade still. You can never get equal. Like Leafs will never get the value of Matthews, his potential to score 55, 60. He's on
maybe not, but you could get picks.
Well, you get picked.
You can maybe get your first round picks back.
You have to make a decision, though. You have to make sure that you're aware. You're not. Ask Boston when they traded Joe Thornton. Ask Edmonton when they traded Wayne Gretzky. You don't they're going to get a bunch of stuff. They'll get a really good player and a middle of the road player and probably 2 picks. They'll get like four assets for Matthews. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to be careful. It's not. But what you want to do is you want to start rebuilding the team into a different kind of character. Because it's clearly
something's broken.
Something's broken.
Clearly, something's
broken. And the sad part is, God. And if you talk to a fan on the street, We knew it was broke. We knew that the loss to Columbus in the COVID year was a red flag. But when they lost to this team, they blew a 3-1 lead to this team. That was when you knew. And they didn't do anything about it at the time. They just did patchwork. It was why it's in the DNA in this city, for whatever reason, Toronto Maple Leafs I describe them like Afghanistan. How many empires have tried to overtake Afghanistan over the last 2,000 years and get sunk? Toronto was the Afghanistan of the NHL. These guys come here and they think they're going to fix it, or they buy the team and they think they're going to take it to the next level. The next level being, well, maybe get back to a final.
Get back to a playoff.
And they don't. They just start doing things, and that's what's going to happen again here. They are going to freeze. They're going to be the deer in the headlights. I predict they're not going to do any big moves. Maybe Bobby McMahon going out the door you could describe as a big move, because they might get a first round for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm predicting that the deadline will pass and the Leafs will have done what we described Montreal for a different reason. Montreal doing cosmetics. Toronto will just do a couple of things just to appease people. And what they have to do at the end of the season is to make a decision on Berube. I think you probably should take him out. You don't make the playoffs, you're done. That's my opinion. And me personally, I would take out Treliving, and then you have to wonder about Keith Pelly. One thing I do agree with the media, they're asking questions of Keith Pelly. He's running the Raptors, the FC, the Argos, the Leafs. He's doing marketing, and he's a great TV guy. He knows, but what does he know about hockey? And you need to hire. They need to bring another guy in. In my opinion, Treliving will not be able to.
So who's available?
I don't know who's available.
To replace Berube, because we were not talking about Berube.
Well, Pete DeBoer is out there, and there's a host of other coaches. Some coaches may get fired this year that are on other teams that may be presentable to the Leafs. I wouldn't. But then again, I don't know. Like Pete DeBoer probably wouldn't take the Leaf job, because this. I'm predicting that this is not a quick turnaround. This is not the closing of a playoff window. I'm calling it the end of an era. This team is going to go into the dark ages now, and it could. I said it on one of our first videos that the Leafs look to me like the end of the Pat Quinn, Matt Sundin era. And we all know how that ended. That ended with 5, 6, 7, 8 years of futility. Yeah. And I think that's what we're looking for here. Yeah. I think we are going to be into a dark time.
And they're not going to be fixing it in a year like Boston did. There's no way they're going to be fixing it in 1 year like Boston did. Not unless they make a
and I just don't. I just don't think Matthews is the guy. I don't think he's a leader. He scores goals. I don't know why people keep on saying he's the second. 55 goals is an impressive thing, or whatever he gets. 60 goals. Yeah, that's fantastic, but he doesn't do enough. I know.
I don't think he's.
He does block shots. He does he's got all these analytics. Yeah. But when I watch the game,
he's not getting 60 this year.
I don't see him doing what McKinnon and McDavid do. I don't see him changing games. I don't see him changing lives. I don't see him making his winger like. Do you know? Here's an interesting stat. I was going to do a Matthews video. I don't have. Go and look at him. He is the only centerman out of like the top 50. I don't have the exact stats. I was going to prepare it. That has more goals than assists. He's a glorified. To me, he's a glorified winger playing center. There, I said it. He's a winger playing center. He didn't make Zach Hyman start hunting for 50 goal seasons, but Hyman goes to play with McDavid. All of a sudden, Hyman's a 40 goal man. Yeah. I don't see it. He's a center. Honestly, you check out all the great centers: the Phil Espositos, the Stan Mikitas, the Wayne Gretzky's, the Mario Lemieux, the Jean Beliveaus, the Mark Messier's. I can go on. The Lemieux. They all have more assists than goals. Matthews has more goals than assists, and it's like you got to go down 45 guys in career to find another guy like him. Like there isn't any. He's a rare animal, and we're stuck with him.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough about Matthews. Just to wrap it up, it's gonna be dark, and I'm predicting the Leafs try to put lipstick on this pig. That's what I think. I think that's what they always do, and they're gonna revert to that, and it's gonna be a pig with very bright red lipstick.
Yep. And the Olympic break cannot come fast
Sooner.
enough. Cannot come
I'm not even
soon
going to
enough.
tell you what the future games are. I could care less.
Well, I could tell him just in case you're listening. I'll tell you. So they're playing Calgary tonight, and they're playing the Oilers tomorrow. So Calgary, they might have a chance to win. Oilers, it's going to be a tough win. Yeah, they're both on the road.
Fun to watch McDavid play Matthews and listen to the comparisons of you know.
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us what you think in the comments down below, and we'll see you in our next video where we're going to talk about the news of the week.